This is a 50-30 constructed sorcery game played at Portland Game Store in Portland, Oregon. And this is a Sorcerer versus Archimago match. The Archimago deck is a net deck that we pulled down. The original author is Moth, who has made quite a few of the meta decks or the meta archetypes that are floating around out there. I didn't really want to make my own super competitive Archimago meta deck, but I wanted to get some practice against it, or a deck of that type. So I had my friend Coleman on the top of the screen here construct that deck for me so we could play. And Moth's version is the version where you stall out, you common sense to fill your graveyard, you grab a Craterize, and then you eventually Craterize your opponent into oblivion and win the game. And then there are Divine Heals too. The Sorcerer deck that I'm playing is a Sorcerer Aggro deck. It's an air fire deck. And what I'm hoping to achieve with this matchup is to get in under the Archimago Control as quickly as possible before they're able to kind of, get a foothold. So Coleman won the roll. See who goes first. He took the play. Tap for a Pyre to get one fire threshold and then passed turn. And it looks like I drew Sight for turn. I got a tower. Now I am weighing my options here. I'm going to tap for Poison Well, and it's not ideal to play a Poison Well at the start at the home location, just because you want to be able to get take advantage of that Genesis. But I feel like I had some additional sites in there that I needed to have better placement for. His turn 2 is a Pebble Path, which is not what this deck wants to see at all. Most of my minion packages are charge minions, so I'm going to have to either play around that or figure out a way to deal with it. And I have a couple tools in here in the Atlas to do that. I have Smokestacks of Gnak, and I have Sinkhole in the Atlas deck. And I believe I have at least one or both come up during this game. So I'm tapping for the Sinkhole, and I'm going to just immediately destroy that Pebble Path. So it's fortunate that I had that in there. He then taps for a Free City. Free City, almost as bad as Pebble Path in this matchup with Sorcerer, just because a lot of my minions cap out at 3 power, and they can't get onto Free City easily without Free City defending or attacking them. So to have it in the center of the map, the grid there, is problematic. But I'm going to go ahead and play down Smokestacks to disable all sites nearby. And then I still don't have a 2-drop, so I'm going to pass turn. Coleman taps for a Gnome Hollow, and then he's going to pass turn. I believe that the reason I did a turn 2 Sinkhole instead of a turn 3 Sinkhole, and I put out Smokestacks for my second site after I blew up Sinkhole, comes down to the fact that I really didn't have a ton of a ton of minion options in my hand to play on mana curve at that point. So I just kind of layered down my plays to get the sights out, I think. So it looks like I'm playing a treetop hideout, and I don't have a minion down for the Genesis, and I still don't have a minion that I can play out, so I'm just going to pass turn. Archimago is tapping to play a second Gnome Hollow on the other side, so he's flanked by Gnome Hollows on either side. Unfortunately, again, with my minion power average at around 3 is still too much for too much power to get into Gnome Hollow, to enter Gnome Hollow. I'm looking for my options on which sites to drop. And I'm going to play the Treetop Hideout. And I'm playing it forward just because I do have some minions that are able to get into Gnome Hollow. And I also need multiple attack vectors in order to do it. I play a Brother Knight, and unfortunately I have to play the second Brother Knight directly from hand instead of searching for it and pulling it from my deck, which would be kind of the optimal way to do it. Unfortunately, like, I had one in my starting hand, and then like my first card draw from the spell deck was the second Brother Knight. But it was a good way to get out. It was a good way to get out a decent presence on the board at that point, especially since I was somewhat behind on where the deck would like to be, the Sorcerer would like to be at this point. At least the way that I'm playing it as a Sorcerer Aggro. Ideally, I would have had a drop on turn 3 that could attack immediately, like a Red Cap Poweries. And then turn 4, follow that up with something else like a Petrosian Cavalry or the Brother Knight at that point. But as it is, we kind of, I had that Sinkhole out to on turn 2 to kind of push tempo back. It kind of pushed tempo back on both of us. And so that's kind of why the board development is a little more delayed, I think, than what I had wanted it to be at this point. Coleman right now is, I think he was downloading four cores, the life threshold tracking app at that point. He was having a little bit of trouble finding it, but we figured it out in the end. And he's going to take his turn. He's going to tap for a site. He's going to tap for another free city. And unfortunately, where he has placed it, that is also going to be nullified by the smokestacks. And then for his creature play, he's going to play a Dapperel Vampire, which is a pretty good minion to see on the board for him right now. It definitely beats the Brother Knight. And if I allow it to start attacking into the Brother Knights, the Vampire will win that fight and kill the Brother Knights, and then he'll gain 4 life from the heal from the Vampire. So I'm declaring attack in with my first Brother Knight. I'm declaring a second attack in to provoke a block, which he has chosen to do. So I have 3 points of damage in on the Vampire at this point. And then I'm going to play a Colicky Dragonets. and tap for a spell. The Dragonets at the end of turn will fire the projectile, and I'll choose the vampire as the target to get that 4th point of damage onto it. So, a bit of a late start for where I want my deck to be, but it is popping off at this point with the minions at least, and hopefully I can start building on that with more minions on curve. Coleman's going to tap for a tower. It's 5 plus 1 from the Genesis, so 6 total for turn. He's getting dangerously close to that magic 8 mana threshold for the Craterizes. And in an Archimago deck that's using that type of strategy, I mean, the Craterize is going to be like, it's going to be a board wipe, it's going to kill all your minions, and it's going to potentially deal a sizable amount of damage to your avatar as well. So he's thinking about, I mean, he has some options, and he's mulling over kind of what he wants to play out on this turn and how he wants to layer his sequences plays. I mean, when you're playing against Archimago and they've been able to set up and get to this point in the game, it is scary because they have a lot of mana at their disposal and they have a lot of cards. He chose to infiltrate the Dragonets, which was a bit of a misplay, and you'll see why in a moment. And then Magic Missile down the Brother Knight. At the end of the turn, the Dragonets are going to fire their projectile, and then because they do that point of damage, because they do damage, that's the requirement for both breaking stealth and then losing control of the dragons. So that was just a bit of an unfortunate kind of oversight when Coleman chose the target for the infiltrate. He didn't see that at the time. But you know, it was fortunate for me. So you take every advantage you can get. The Dragonets are gonna move forward and attack Free City for 3 points. Then I'm gonna play a Falconer and search for, I believe, a Bats, Palisbury Bats. Yep. So I'm just continuing to get bodies out onto the board so I can just aggro in and swarm. I'm trying to get him down to Death's Door as soon as possible, just because when you're playing Archimago, when you see that they have Earth thresholds, you need to be aware that they likely are running Divine Heals. So if they can get to that 3 Earth threshold, Divine Heal is going to do a lot of work for them and kind of like undo a lot of the chip damage that you've been bringing in with your minions. At the end of my turn, the Dragonets will ping Archimago for a point, and then I pass. Coleman then decides to go ahead and lightning bolt them down. And then he is moving Archimago, and then taking a look at his cemetery, I believe. He had 3 spells in there, and he chose to use the recast the Magic Missile in order to clear out and kill all of my minions on the board. So not a bad play, just because he's effectively wiped the board. He has kind of just undone all of the work that I've been trying to build up with. with my minion presence. This turn, I decided to take a step to move up my Sorcerer. And I think I'm doing that because I have a Ring of Morgan in my hand, and so I need to get closer to him in order to start doing those ping damages with the ring when I cast. And I'm prioritizing that now instead of building up a larger mana base, because I feel like that's going to be important to be able to do that, to be able to get more of that chip damage in for the duration. My deck has somewhat fizzled in terms of aggroing him down quickly enough, so I have to adjust my strategy here to get into a little bit more of a slog, which frankly is not where I want to be against Archimago. But this turn, like I said, I get the ring out, and then I have a Feast of Crows, which is pretty big, and then also kind of like seals this in terms of being like turning this into a slog of a game, or more of a slog of a game, because I call Craterize on my Feast of Crows. I didn't want the option for him to be able to cast those, because he was so close on mana base to being able to do that if he drew into them. Like, he was sitting at seven mana at that point. So one more sight, and he'd be at the 8 required. When because I removed those 2 tools from his deck, I mean, he still has plenty of things in there that can be difficult to deal with, but the Craterizes are central to kind of the control and win condition in this particular Archimago deck, which again is it's not the only way to build an Archimago deck, but it is a popular way to do it. So now he's playing a browse on his turn, so he's going to be able to get to look at 7 cards, pick one, and then pitch the rest onto the bottom of the deck. And the more he's able to do this, and the more turns go by, I am concerned that he's going to be able to pull a Divine Heal and just like heal back up to 20 or around 20, and really just stall out the game until he is able to maybe draw something to allow him to start getting the upper hand. We saw one vampire. I believe he probably has the max allowance there. He's probably running like 2 or 3 of the Dapperel vampires. He played a Grandmaster Wizard for the card draw. Again, because he has all the mana he can need at this point. At this point now, because he did play the Perilous Bridge, he is at 8. And that Forbearing Knot that is on the table is actually a Ring of Morgan. He's using a proxy stand-in, just because he didn't want to hot swap it between his decks. Thankfully, I had Disenchant in my hand, so I was in range, and I decided to kind of strike while I could to get that ring out before he could start pinging. Especially because I played my second Highland Falconer, and I didn't want to leave the Highland Falconer out there while he still had the ring. Otherwise, it would just get pinged and die when I passed turn. So the same play with this Highland Falconer, I play it and then I call bats. I believe in my deck I'm only running 2 Highland Falconers, and I'm only running 2 bats. Honestly, I just have them in there as an answer in case someone is running root spiders. So I want to be able to summon the bats and just fly them in underground and trade with a root spider if I have to. So there's there's that second Dapperel Vampire, which is a bit of a problem just because I don't have that much airborne in my deck other than these bats. I believe this iteration of my deck is running Gyre Hippogriffs. This is what I was talking about. He also does have Root Spiders. So I was playing a Root Spider. He tried to play it under my site, but he forgot that I had an opportunity and played forward there. He thought that was his site. So now he is kind of reconsidering his options. Just the fact that he has the Root Spiders and the Vampire out already, like I'm already not looking forward to having to deal with the Vampire. I have some more burn spells that can help target it, and like I said, I have those bats. I could already do 2 points of damage. I have a ring, so I mean I could fly the bats in for 2. I could cast 2 spells to take it out. I'm going to tap the Sorcerer for a second spell, and at this point I think my mana base is robust enough that I can maybe get away with that. So yeah, see the Firebolts for 3, and then 1 damage from the ping on the ring was enough to take care of the vampires in this case. And then I decided to move over with both the Highland Falconer and the Pillsbury Bats to attack in for 3. I need to keep getting some damage in on him on the chance that he has not drawn into his Divine Heals yet. So now he's going to play Black Plague, and he's going to move the Spider to try to get a better position on where he thinks it's going to be more useful. The Black Plague, unfortunately, I mean that's going to start killing my minions, so he's going to get some value out of that there. I took another look at the state of my sites right now, and I mean unfortunately, I think I only have 4. I have 2 Fire Threshold, 2 Air Threshold, which is basically enough for anything I want. But it's only 4 mana, and I mean ideally, I have access to maybe 5 or 6 mana, so I can draw 2 and play 2 with the Sorcerer. Coleman got out a Leprechaun. The Deathrite isn't really going to like help him that much, I think, just because he's got so much on board now. I think at this point he has 8 mana from sites. So it really is just, you know, just a 2-body for him at this point. I think I'm looking at my options here, and I mean, I have so many cards in hand, and part of the reason for that is, yeah, like, I didn't realize I was still only at 4 mana. But I was trying to push on earlier turns to get more damage in faster, to try to race him to door, or to get him to make more defensive plays. But one of the things that Archimago decks, control decks specifically do very, very well is kind of just stall you and like dig through their decks to get the cards that they want. I did attack with the bats for 2 points of damage, just to get 2 more points of damage in. And right now, Coleman is thinking that you know, I wasn't allowed to attack the Perilous Bridge, but the Perilous Bridge only forbids entry on the ground from the top border of that site, and I attacked in from the side. So we just had a quick clarification there on that. The spider is now going to move under Gnome Hollow to disable the bats, which I expected to happen, but I just wanted to get that 2 points in. And then Coleman moved forward with the leprechauns for 2 points. He's still looking at his hand here. He still has some scary things in there. He's got the second infiltrate. He's got a lightning bolt. He has a pendulum, which is, yeah, no, he plays the pendulum out now. And the pendulum is going to swing and kill the bats at the end of turn. And he's able to get away with playing the pendulum in this deck and this board stage just because he does not have a lot of minions out right now. Like, he's pretty minion light. Taking a peek at my hand, it looks like I did draw into a Gyre Hippogriffs, so I do have that as an option. I have some burn spells in my hand. I have another Disenchant, which I'm holding just in case he brings something else out, but I've already taken care of the ring. So at this point, the Disenchant in my hand might as well just be a spell to cast to get some utility out of the ring for an additional ping. Now I'm moving, like I moved with a sorcerer to attack for 1 point of damage to get it into position, and then I'm just trying to burn him for two spells. So like Firebolts for 3, Lightning Bolt for 3. I mean, you can see my hand fan out on the table. I have so many cards in my hand. I have way more cards in my hand than this deck is supposed to have. And this is, I believe we talk about when we're playing. We talk about how this is an atypical game for both of our decks. Like, Archimago should have likely established itself by now and been able to generate and deal more damage by now and close out the game. Or the Sorcerer Aggro deck should have kind of popped off a lot sooner and gotten more aggro out and gotten him to door before he had a chance to do that. But we played a weird, more slowly drawn out game here than is typical. And I've played this deck against this deck with Coleman quite a few times at this point. I think we sat down and we played about 8 games in a session just to stress test the decks. And in 8 games previously, we never ended up in this weird stalemate, or not stalemate, but drawn out version of the game. I think at this point he's also he's looking through his cemetery to see what he has available here. I think he has 3, but 3 or 4 in there right now, but I think that's it. I see a Disenchant. I see I think the Black Plague is still in there. Notably, the Black Plague would not count for Archimago's ability since he only uses magic spells, not aura, not minion spells. Looking at his hand, he still has that lightning bolt, which is annoying to see, just because even if I do get another creature out at this point, he's gonna be able to just lightning bolt it out. And at least if I get a creature out and it has charge, so if it's something like a hippogriff or a red cap or a Trojan cavalry, at least I'm getting that 3 points in on my turn before he's able to kind of react to it. I think he's just like he's taking a lot of time here because it's like, you know, when I feast for crows and removed the craterizes, I think that threw him for a loop, and he's having a hard time kind of figuring out like what is the optimal secondary strategy for the deck at this point. I mean, I think in a perfect world, like the vampires would have been able to do some more work for him before they got removed. But unfortunately, I had so many cards in my hand, and I had just enough mana to kind of enough of tools to make that work. He's casting from his cemetery again to banish those cards, and he's recasting Browse for 7 more. Now he doesn't love what he's seeing here. I don't know 100% what he was looking for or digging for. It might have been, again, just like that divine heal to buy himself some more time to fill his graveyard cemetery again with more magic spells. I don't know how many more minions there are in this deck, in Moth's version of this deck. It might really just be the vampires and the leprechauns. And then you just kind of hope that you draw all of the magic damage spells that you need. You get the Craterize out. Things like that. So yeah, I mean, he's taking a lot of time here. Just, I think he's not entirely sure kind of where he wants to go with this deck at this point. Now that I kicked the Craterizes out. See, he looked at everything, and out of everything, he pulled a Kettle Top. I think he's just trying to push as much damage in as he can now with what he has available in his deck.
So you can kill it next on the end of your turn. But if you don't have the thing now, then I'm less worried about the Kettle Top right now. You don't have a whole lot of
At this point, I'm looking for a way to round out the game. And yeah, I'm gonna take a step forward, and I'm gonna do the grapple shot in for the win. Again, this was a bit more of a drawn out game than is typical, especially for these types of decks. Like I said, like we played 8 games with these same decks previously, and the games only ran 15 to 20 minutes, just because Sorcerer Aggro is pretty fast and it either works or it doesn't. And Archimago, Archimago, in my opinion, it's one of those things where like you either get the cards you need to pop off, or you stall out and you don't. And in this case, he didn't. Like he didn't get his Craterizes before I was able to Feast for Crows them, and he didn't see a single Divine Heal this entire game, and that was even after browsing twice. At the end of the day, it's still a card game, and you get what you get on the draw. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.